Hey, friends! So I've got chapter 11 for you today. Just a quick recap. If you listened to chapter 10 yesterday, chapter 10 was kind of like the end of all the chaos at BJ and Callie's house. So Mimi launched this huge attack, and Annabelle and Tiffany and all of those dolls that they became friends with kind of defeated her and revealed that Techno Man's really just a plain doll. Sandra doll and Sleeping Billy have kind of come onto their side because they helped him clean up and find Carl, the big lizard, at the end of chapter 10. So that is kind of how chapter 10 ended. And it sounds like Mimi kind of has just stormed off. She doesn't seem to have a lot of power right now, but I highly doubt that this is the end that we'll see of her. But who knows? Who knows how she's gonna appear? If she is even gonna appear again, maybe she's gonna stay at BJ and Callie's house, and hopefully Annabelle and Tiffany will get out of there and get back to the backpack and get back to school so they can return home. I was thinking, I haven't thought about Mama and Papa and Auntie Sarah and Uncle Doll in kind of a while since we've been over here at BJ and Callie's house. It's been several days since they've been missing. I wonder what they think. I wonder if they've started looking for them, if Auntie Sarah has kind of hinted into where they are. I don't know. So chapter 11, The Return. For several more hours, Annabelle, Tiffany, and Callie's dolls sat quietly in BJ's bedroom. They saw no sign of Mean Mimi and no sign of Techno Man. Pretty soon we'll have to go back to Callie's room, said Melody, standing and stretching. Mimi's going to be madder than a hornet, but once Callie comes home, she won't be able to do anything to us. So she behaves herself when Callie's around? Asked Annabelle. Well, mostly, said Melody. And Annabelle felt fear ripple through her. How much damage could Mimi cause? What about Techno Man? Asked Tiffany. Where do you think he is? I'm not sure, replied Melody. This makes me nervous. Techno Man was humiliated. He was embarrassed, so I guess he's off sulking. He's never done that before. I hope he has the sense to return before BJ and Callie do. What room does he belong in? Annabelle wanted to know. BJ's. See that bucket in the corner? That's where the action figures are kept. Although, I wonder if Techno Man will stay there now, since we know he isn't an action figure after all. The dolls sat and talked until finally Waterfall said, I think we should go. She looked at Annabelle and Tiffany. We hate to leave you, but we want to be ready when Callie comes home. That's okay. We should get in the backpack anyways, replied Tiffany. Beth let out a sigh. Back to Mimi land. I forgot, Mimi stays in Callie's room, and that's where all these dolls are too. But Annabelle and Tiffany have to stay in BJ's room to get in his backpack. The dolls stood up. They hugged each other and called goodbye. When we get home, Annabelle said, we're going to tell our parents about Mean Mimi. She really is a menace. Maybe they'll have some ideas about what to do. It must be nice to have grown-up dolls around, said Penny. It is, Annabelle replied, mostly. The Troll Twins, PJ Party Pals, and the Cutouts, Sandra Doll, and Sleeping Billy left the room. Okay, said Tiffany. Into the backpack? Into the backpack, said Annabelle. Here's them saying their goodbyes. We've got Sleeping Billy, sleeping, the Cutouts, the PJ Party Pals, Annabelle, Tiffany, the Troll Twins, and big old Sandra Doll's feet. She and Tiffany waded through the toys and paper on the floor, which Annabelle prayed were now in exactly the same spots in which they had been left when BJ left on Friday. Then they stood before the backpack and looked at it. Like Kate's, there was one large main compartment and several smaller zippered ones on the outside. What should we hide? Asked Aunt Tiffany. The big compartment, said Annabelle promptly. We'll stay at the bottom like we did when we were in Kate's. And so Annabelle and Tiffany spent the long night in the bottom of BJ's backpack. They crawled under some papers and an old woolen glove, and they listened. They listened to the sounds of BJ's family returning home late that afternoon. They listened to voices calling, and they thought they knew now who was BJ's and who was Callie's and whose were their parents. I wonder where they go every weekend. It's kind of weird they leave every weekend, huh? They listened especially hard for any signs that the humans thought things were not quite right, but they heard nothing disturbing. Later, much later, they listened to nighttime sounds and heard many that were familiar to them. The hum of the refrigerator, clocks ticking, floors creaking. They heard a scrambling sound, too, and thought maybe BJ's house had mice, which upset Annabelle, but the scrambling stopped and no mice jumped into the backpack. So Annabelle stopped worrying and thought instead about the wonderful homecoming they would soon have. By the morning, a new set of worries occupied Annabelle. What if BJ didn't take his backpack to school? Would she and Tiffany have time to climb out of the pack and find something else in which to hide? What if BJ did take his backpack, but he went searching for his glove and found Annabelle and Tiffany instead? What if the girls got to school safely, but Kate hadn't brought her backpack that day? What if they made it all the way back to the Palmer's house only to discover that their absence had been noted and that Kate and Nora had been searching for them, and now the humans were suspicious? But Annabelle's worries were for nothing. BJ did pick up the backpack and take it to school. During a quiet moment that morning, the girls managed to slip out of it, drop to the floor, and find Kate's pack. This time they made certain that it was hers. Ooh, I lost my spot. I hate it when that happens. We've had a little squirrel problem back here today, too. I put a bird feeder up, and they keep getting into the bird feeder. Okay, here we go. And climb into it. At the end of the day, the bell rang, and presently Annabelle heard Kate's voice as she hoisted the backpack from its shelf and slid her arms through the straps. 20 minutes later, Annabelle and Tiffany were back in the Palmer's house at Weatherby Lane. Here's a picture of them. I think that's underneath that glove that they were talking about in BJ's backpack. So they made it home. Actually went a little quicker and better than they expected. Kate set the backpack on the kitchen floor while she ate a snack with Nora and Grandma Catherine. Then she carried the pack upstairs to her room and dropped it on her bed. A few minutes later, Annabelle heard footsteps leaving the room, then Kate calling, "Grandma Catherine, can I go over to Ayana's house?" When the dolls heard only silence for the next few minutes, they could wait no longer. "Now?" Annabelle whispered to Tiffany. "Now." Annabelle could tell that Tiffany was grinning. "You should probably come to my house," said Annabelle as she stood up. "You shouldn't risk being seen in the Palmer's hallway. It's dangerous enough to run across Kate's room at this time of day." "That's okay. I'll go back to my house tonight." The dolls scrambled out of the pack and crawled down Kate's bedspread to the floor. Then they dashed across the room to the step stool. They stood at the bottom of the step stool and called softly, "Hello? Anybody home?" For a moment they heard nothing. Then a voice replied, "Annabelle? Tiffany? Is that you?" So there's them at the bottom of the step stool calling up. "Yes, it's us. It's really us," Annabelle cried softly. Cautiously, Mama and Papa appeared at the front of the dollhouse. Mama glanced around Kate's room, checking to make sure no humans were in sight. To Annabelle's surprise, Mom Funcraft appeared next to Papa, so Nora began playing in Kate's room again, thought Annabelle. Oh, let me read that one more time, sorry. To Annabelle's surprise, Mom Funcraft in there. I wasn't even thinking about what I was reading. So Nora's been playing in Kate's room again, thought Annabelle. That was probably a good thing. Oh, dear," said Mama, looking faint. "We were afraid we might never see you again. Are you all right? Are you really all right?" "Yes, we're fine," replied Annabelle. "Hi, honey," said Mom Funcraft, called to Tiffany. "Did you have fun?" "Well, my land!" exclaimed Nanny, peering over Mama's shoulder. I love it how Mama Doll is like so worried, like, "Are you okay? I never thought I'd see you again." And then Mom Funcraft's like, "Did you have fun? It was an adventure, right?" "What? Where?" Uncle Doll sputtered, and Auntie Sarah said, "There you are, girls. Good heavens. Come on up here." Annabelle and Tiffany scrambled up the steps to the dollhouse as fast as they were able. A few moments later, Annabelle felt herself caught up in a flurry of hugs, wrapped in first her mother's arms, then her father's, then Auntie Sarah's, then Uncle Doll's, then Nanny's, then Mom Funcraft's, then Bobby's, and finally even baby Betsy as she reached out from her spot on the floor. So there's the big reunion of everybody. Uncle Doll looks like he's wiping his eyes. Mama Doll looks pretty happy. "Where on earth have you been?" asked Mama, motioning the dolls to move to the back of the house. "Why, they've been to school, I presume," said Auntie Sarah. "Isn't that right, girls?" So Auntie Sarah did know where they were. "Yes, and," Annabelle started to reply. "My, what an adventure," said Mom Funcraft. "But why didn't you come back on Thursday?" asked Papa. "Kate brought her pack home with her. We saw her." Annabelle heard a hint of annoyance in his voice. Tiffany must have heard it too, because she said, "We tried to come home then, we really did, but we'd gotten out of Kate's pack in school and then we couldn't return to it in time." "You got out of the pack?" repeated Mama in alarm. "Why?" And Uncle Doll said, "You ran around a big place like school in front of all those humans?" Annabelle elbowed Tiffany, realizing they should have spent some of the hours stuck in BJ's backpack discussing what they were going to tell their parents. Tiffany abruptly stopped speaking, but Auntie Sarah said, school. Just think, to be in an actual school. My. Sarah, said Uncle Doll sharply, don't encourage them. Oh, for heaven's sake, I'm sure they were careful. What a wonderful opportunity for an exploration of some magnitude, I might add. I'll say, agreed Mom Funcraft. We were careful, said Annabelle meekly. Very careful, added Tiffany. Auntie Sarah was rubbing her hands together with relish. All right, so you were stuck in school on Thursday night. Then what happened? What happened on Friday? You really are not going to believe it, said Tiffany. Here's Annabelle and Tiffany telling their story to everybody. What? Cried Auntie Sarah and Mum Funcraft at the same time. Annabelle had been trying to figure out just what to say and what not to say in order to stay out of trouble. But now she had a feeling that with Auntie Sarah and Mom Funcraft on their side, she and Tiffany weren't going to be in much trouble anyway. Okay, on Friday, said Tiffany, we waited for just the right moment to return to Kate's backpack. Together, Tiffany and Annabelle began the story of their adventure. They told of accidentally climbing in BJ's backpack, of peering out of the pack later and realizing they were in the wrong house, of meeting their new friends, of Mean Mimi, and of the terrible trouble they thought Dollkind might now be in. They told the story in turns. Tiffany would speak until she left something out, then Annabelle would jump in. Annabelle would speak until she left something out, and then Tiffany would jump in. When they finished their story, the other dolls were speechless. They looked both astonished and frightened. Mama and Papa clutched each other, and Uncle Doll fanned himself with his handkerchief. All my life I've been afraid of something like this, he said with a small moan. Imagine such a menace so nearby, like all those houses down there. Mama, said Annabelle, Papa, do you think there's any way we could help Melody and Waterfall and the other troll dolls at BJ's? They're in trouble. Huge trouble, added Tiffany. And so are we. So are dolls everywhere, said Annabelle. The grown-ups looked at one another. Annabelle, Mama said, but she was interrupted by a noise from across the room. All the dolls jumped. Places, everyone, hissed Papa. Annabelle, Tiffany, hide. Oh, there's no need for that, a voice called. It's just me. Let's see who this is. As Annabelle and the others watched, one of the small compartments on Kate's backpack opened. So that's Kate's backpack. Whose hand do you think that is? So maybe I should have read that a little differently. Oh, there's no need for that, a voice called. It's just me. As Annabelle and the others watched, one of the small compartments on Kate's backpack opened and a doll dressed in lavender climbed out, scurried towards the bed, and began to cross the floor towards the dollhouse. It was Mean Mimi. She's at their house. Okay, who saw that coming? I won't lie, the first time I read this, I did not see that coming. But I guess since she didn't have any army or anybody to pester back at her old house, that she came to the Palmer's house, and who knows what she's going to do now. But at least Kate and Annabelle and Tiffany have big families that hopefully can form together and take her on, right? All right, so tomorrow is chapter 12 that's called Who's Sorry Now? Oh, I can't wait to see what happens with Mean Mimi at the Palmer's house. Oh, all right, see you guys tomorrow. Bye.